like an hour and 15, I think.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
And I have sniffed so much Yeti that my head immediately became shaped for a flat brim.
When did you know you really liked Cameron?
We became buddies like immediately.
Like
Once
right
we
off the
became
bat?
Friends. Yeah. Well, I had him on my podcast. It's the first time I met him, and he brought me a Hoyt bow. So how could I not love him?
I did.
What did you think when that happened?
I thought I made it.
I love it.
I thought I finally made it.
This is Tim Burnett with Solo Hunter, and you're listening to my favorite podcast, The Gritty Bowmen.
I just Randy Black Eagle.
That's it. Boom.
That's my.
That's how we roll. Just drop the mic and walk away.
What are the tricks or what are the key things to focus on when filming? You have to play to your strengths and to your given, what you've been given.
You can't try to be something you're not. It just doesn't work.
I just can't buy into the whole face paint thing. That's so
like special ops. You put it on, you just feel.
But then
tougher.
you got to wash your face.
So my brother has been reading this book, and he's calling me up, and he's like, "Hey, bro, this is what I read in this chapter," and it's like everything that he talks about right now is as a man thinketh. He's like, "Brian, so what's your goal? What are some of your big goals you got going on? Like 1, 2, or 3 goals?" And I answered him, but I'm asking you that question.
I want to hear your answer. No, I want to hear your answer.
I want to hear your. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen Podcast. I am here with Tim Burnett, solo hunter. And,
morning.
It's good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you, even if it is through a fuzzy little screen.
We're doing this over Skype, but we're so technologically savvy, at least Tim is, that we're capturing higher quality audio and video offline that we'll sync later. So it's actually
technically challenged or technology challenged is what I am.
Hey,
I can mash the record button. That's about it.
Look, that's something I want to ask you right off the bat is what audio microphone are you using to record your episodes of Solo Hunter?
So I'll use wireless mics, just like this little guy right here that I'm patching audio into my camera with. So I don't focus on audio a lot. I mean, very little, which is kind of ironic because in the, what is it now, 6 years, 7 years now, I've been producing Solo Hunter for the Outdoor Channel. We've been nominated for Best Sound Design, I think, 3 times, which is kind of funny because we have the absolute crappiest audio that there is. But no, if I'm in just like a normal hunting scenario, just whatever, I'll use a wireless mic, but I'll turn it on or off. If I'm talking to the camera, I turn it on. If I'm not, I turn it off just so that it doesn't bother me. But like elk hunting the last 3 weeks, I'll use a boom mic on my camera instead so I can capture more of the surround noise, the bugling and the talking and that kind of stuff. But
so what wireless mic are you using? Is it like a Sennheiser?
Yeah, these are the Sennheiser G3 EW100 G3.
So I have 2 of those. I've used them like, I don't know, 3 times, and I hated them every time.
Can I have them?
They're expensive.
I know, right?
So what am I doing wrong? Like sometimes it just goes static.
Yeah, batteries probably. I mean, I'll use all lithium batteries exclusively. 1, because they last longer. 2, they're better quality, and 3, they're lighter. I mean, they'll cut down.
Oh yeah,
a lot of weight on those. But it could be batteries, or you're too far away from the receiver. So maybe check your frequency. Change your frequency. But I found a lot of times it's not the mics themselves as much as it is the audio condenser of the camera or of the capture device, which you're using a Zoom or something, aren't you, when you film?
Usually a Zoom H6 lately. That's what I've been using.
So that's solid. That's like probably the best way to do it is have that separate audio recorder just running all the time. I know that's something that a lot of the ZPZ and some of the other bigger production companies will do is they'll just patch audio from the different talent or characters into the audio source, and they'll run audio whether the video's running or not, just so they can capture those valuable sound bites.
So which do you patch yours directly into the camera, into the recording?
Yeah, just because it's easier. It's easier for me in post-production. It's easier. I mean, I I kind of went the route of trying to do everything the best. Like I was buying the best cameras I could afford, audio, all this kind of thing. But it made the filming experience miserable for me. You know, it made hunting absolutely impossible to do it all top notch.
Yeah.
I mean, with lighting and reflectors and just whatever you could do. A lot of what you see some of these other shows doing, because they do have a producer with them, I was trying to do that on my own, and it just failed miserably. So I just went back to simplicity. So for the last 3 years, it's just been camera, mic in, that's it. You know, I don't, because most people, unless you're sitting in the sound booth or in the edit bay listening to it with headphones on, you're not going to notice the differences in the audio that you would when you're sitting 20 feet from your 60-inch TV watching it with, you know, in basic stereo. You
Right.
know? So
No.
most people aren't going to catch the difference.
I completely agree. That's one of the things that's been a little frustrating for me is the audio, and I've used a Zoom H1 with just a mic that runs on 1AA, you know, and you just stick it in your pocket.
Yeah.
But the post-production job stinks. Like, I don't like having to sync it in after the fact.
I think that's probably
forever.
the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing for me, is more just
It's more work.
end usability, because then I can dump in the video track and know that the audio is with the video. I mean, there's no separations. So even in the editing process, you might clip a video clip and do some slides and move it and everything, and you're like, damn it, the audio didn't follow it, you know?
Yep.
And so then you have to backtrack and try to link it. And for me, it's just like, whatever is the easiest, because I'm not producing like high-end stuff, and I never will, and I have no desire to. Like, I need to do what's going to work and what's going to be not foolproof, but it's going to work.
I totally
basically.
agree. So you're using the Canon or Panasonic?
So I'm using the Panasonic GH4, the Lumix GH4. I've been using that. This is now my third hunting season with it, third hunting season with it that I just started. It's. I mean, for me, for a video camera, like when they first came out, I did a lot of research between it and the A7 and all these things, these other cameras that were coming out, and everything came back to the GH4. And then with the software upgrades and everything else, for a solo guy, for someone that films on their own, that wants to have the DSLR capabilities. I mean, even though it's only a micro 2/3 frame, it's not a full frame like the Mark IVs or, you know, some of those other even the A7S and that. It's not a full frame camera, but when you're using the lenses that you're using anyway, you're still getting that 4K, I mean, just crisp, clean video quality.
I have the A7S too, and I have a Canon 70D.
Yeah, great cameras.
Aaron, we just got the Mark IV, and we were using that, but all of that stuff is just expensive and not so easy to use.
Yeah, this camera's what, $14.99 for the camera body. I mean, it's very, very, and it's durable as heck. I mean, I've spray painted mine. I've just drug it through the water and everything. The camera itself is lightweight, small. Just beat the crud out of it. Yeah, I'm not getting full frame. So the only difference I see is I would take video that I shoot and put it side by side to a Mark IV or whatever, you know, or 70D or any of those cameras. And I think that the GH4 is just as good. Now, when you switch to photos and that, the Canons and the A7S, I mean, those blow this away as far as photos go. But I'm not a photo guy; I'm a video guy.
Yeah, me too. I've struggled. In fact, a ton of my footage ends up being GoPro footage. And it's like again, it goes back to ease of use in the moment. It's some video, but when you're using the Panasonic, how are you getting patching in your from your receiver on your wireless mic? How are you patching that into your camera?
So I just have a shoe on the receiver. So this is the transmitter. The receiver looks exactly the same, but it's got a shoe to the hot shoe on the camera. So that just goes right on top of the camera. I mean, if I wasn't filming with the camera, I could show you.
And it just plugs right into what kind of port does it have?
So then it's what is that? The 1/8 inch, just your typical headphone jack plug. It plugs into there. You can get
So you're not using a beach tech or any audio mixers?
No, I did at one time. A lot of guys do, because with the Beach Tech, you can use the XLR ports on these mics rather than
That's
the
what I
8-inch. XLR is better quality, no question, but tying it into the Beach Tech, using the Beach Tech's audio condenser and all that kind of stuff, and then dumping into the camera, you're getting the same thing, because ultimately at the end use is whatever the camera's audio converter or condenser is doing to it. So the Beach Tech, I found, because I was patching the audio to the camera, was basically useless, other than I could tie in 2 mics and I could use XLR ports. I didn't notice any difference. So got rid of that extra weight and bulk and batteries and whatever else,
Yeah.
So
No, that makes sense.
simplicity. I mean, guys ask me, shoot, a dozen times a day, different emails and that's why I got to get the website updated. But it's like simplicity. I mean, if you're already out there hunting, which is difficult enough as it is, by yourself, which is even more difficult, and now you're trying to film it. I mean, I get asked, what are the tricks or what are the key things to focus on when filming? It's like, man, you guys get to see 5% of what goes through my camera. I get to choose 5% of all the crap that I have and pick the best of the crap and put it together. So you're seeing a finished video. You're not seeing all of the rough and the raw.
Right. Like I'm going through some video of Snyder's archery, elk hunt with the trad bow, and trying to, the amount of video that is going to be seen to the amount that's been recorded, it's almost depressing.
Well, which is a test. I mean, that really is where, not the beauty, I guess, but it's the end packaged result that everybody's seeing. I mean, you guys see what I want you to see. You don't see all the other stuff. And I think sometimes that doesn't necessarily do everybody justice that's wanting to film their hunts and everything, because they can't see, all they're seeing is just the best. Whereas if I could show them the 8 hours of raw footage that I used to create that 20-minute video, then they might have a little bit more realistic expectations of what they could actually accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's a tough thing, filming your own hunts, and that's something I was going to ask you about. What is the hardest part of filming your own hunt?
Kill shot. I mean, that's without a doubt the hardest part, is getting the kill shot on film. I mean, this year I've been on 3 hunts. Utah mule deer. I got the kill shot on film. Well, the miss shot on film with the GoPro, but the camera was laying on its side because I just didn't want to reach down and risk not getting the shot. So I was calm and cool and collected, and the deer stepped out at 51 yards, range, click, dial, whiff, But I probably could have got the camera up and got it on him and everything, but maybe I didn't. So that's where the point of view camera, whether it's a Garmin or whatever it might be, is good to have as kind of a backup. The first elk that I killed in Idaho, I was filming some spikes, and then I had some raghorn bulls kind of come up underneath me that I was trying to kill. I was trying to kill this one bull, but they kind of got out beyond me, so I'm just filming them going up over the skyline. And then I noticed I use a black gold sight on my bow. I noticed that somehow the roller thing had gotten bumped, and the sight rolled down beyond the track, so it was actually off the track. So I was trying to cram this thing back on the track while I'm trying to get these elk in for film. So I just forgot about the camera, got my bow all fixed, heard a noise behind me, turned around, and here comes this monster bull just 40 yards walking right behind me. And my first reaction was, zoot. I had actually set the sight to 60, because that's kind of where I keep it in that open country. And when I seen him, I turned around, I'm like, nope, not 60, 40. Boom, that fast. Could I have got the camera around on him? Knowing what I know now about that particular elk situation, yeah, I had all the time in the world to get that camera around. He had no clue I was there. He's blind. I mean, it would have been easy to do it, but I didn't know that at the time, so I just took the shot instead. So then the other bull, I got it both on the camera and the second camera angle with the GoPro, everything was perfect. Walked into frame, stuck him at 31 yards, got the second shot, the follow-up shot with the GoPro. I mean, so it just all depends. Like I've had all three scenarios happen to me this year. So
That's tough, dude. Like I took my camera when Aaron got the shot on his bull. I had been really diligent. I had been turning the camera on for everything, filming as much as I could. Well, we came up over the hill, and it was still a little bit dark, and I was losing patience. It was the last morning of the last day. I really wanted to get a bull down. So we start heading out, and we get to the top of the hill. We push in on this herd that we know is there. They spook. We push right into the middle of them. Some cows go a different way, and bull goes another. But now he's screaming, and the cows. We're between him and his cows. We sneak in there a little further, get closer to the bull, and I don't turn the camera on. Like I could have, I didn't. We were sneaking in. I was right behind Aaron's shoulder. I had a bugle in one hand, an estrus call in the other. I got the camera like under my arm on a tripod, and I'm like blowing and blowing. I have a GoPro there that I could turn on, but I don't. And then things starts happening fast. We're running to a tree. I'm laying on the ground. I'm bugling. I'm screaming. The bull's coming in. Aaron shoots it, and then I'm rolling over and turning the camera on after the fact. And earlier, I had the GoPro set up so I could at least film Aaron shoot if that was the worst case scenario, but I didn't do it. In that particular moment, I have a whole bunch of failed opportunities where I turned the camera on, but in that particular one, it didn't happen. And gosh, man, I'm actually, it's like what I got was fine, but I'm kicking myself because I didn't turn on the camera.
Because it wasn't what you saw. I mean, ultimately what you want to run through the camera is what you're seeing in real life. I mean, that's really kind of the goal with filming as a cameraman or as a self-filmer specifically. I want Brian Call to see and experience everything that I'm experiencing. But I can guarantee you, if the camera's not turned on, you're not going to record anything. Yep. I mean, you got to have it on. Even if you aren't sure you're going to be able to get anything with it, but that's the scenario you were in. You were playing. You're calling and you're the cameraman. You can't do both very very easily.
No, and so we got some good stuff, but I sit there and people will say, "Hey, darn it, I wish you had got this on film." I swear to you, do they not realize how hard that is? Like. It's a huge undertaking pulling that off.
Yeah, I used to think that I think people used to be impressed with what I could pull off. Mm-hmm. I don't think people give a crap anymore. I think it's kind of frustrating. It's like there's so many people out there doing these little short video clips on Instagram or whatever, and everybody's getting their fix off of these little tiny short clips and stories that you wonder sometimes if this amazing task that I'm pulling off, hunting by myself and harvesting and packing and filming and all this kind of thing, to me it's like so epic and just monumental accomplishment. And I'm kind of finding a trend that I don't think people give a damn anymore, in a lot of ways.
Well, I will say this, that you doing it every day for like I don't know how many episodes, right?
Right.
That's different than a guy who goes out and pulls it off once. Right? Let's say he goes on 5 hunts and one of them he gets on film, solo filmed, and it worked and it's awesome. But he didn't pull that off on everything.
Right.
And it's once in a while. But there's so many people that are doing it now and doing it fairly well that I think that you can follow all these different dudes' experiences.
Right.
And go on a hunt with them, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that, the Solo Hunter had something to do with it, the show, and just kind of helping evolve the trend of people wanting to film their hunts. I'd like to think that it helped some people along the way. But ultimately, with social media and everything and just the instant the ability to instantly crank out the content.
Yeah.
I think kind of the luster of what Solo Hunter once was might be diminishing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a hard hard thing to.
I was gonna say it's all changing rapidly right now.
Oh, so fast. We're seeing it with sponsors. We're seeing it with viewers and fans, and I think the consumption of the media and even the creation of some of this hunting media is changing, and it's in so many different venues that advertisers are just beside themselves of how to figure out how to capitalize on this expansion, or this type of media consumption, because it's not traditional. It's not easy to put a value on what somebody is producing. Television was easy,
Yep.
You're an X number of households, you're supposed to be seeing by this many numbers of people. So it's really easy to figure out. So now these advertisers are just going like, oh, crap.
Yep.
What are we going to do?
You got print, and people aren't reading print anymore.
Right.
It's changing so fast, and it's been it seems to be changing like overnight.
Well, yeah, it is overnight, and I'll say I'm in the position of creating content, but I'm also in the position of selling advertising or sponsorships or whatever, and dealing and negotiating with the networks. And so I'm seeing it from three different sides of what it is. And man, it seems like it's been the last just several months that networks panicking, sponsors panicking, and yet people are still consuming the heck out of all the media, and the content, and people are still wanting it. There's still that appetite for it. So, for a guy like me that makes his living, monetizes the marketing end of that content, it's a little bit more difficult than the guys that don't have any paid sponsors. They might get some free gear or whatever, so they just keep cranking the content on social media. It doesn't really matter to them, the whole business side of it. So it's kind of interesting. There's so few people in the position of where we're at that it's hard to collaborate and work with people to try to figure it out. It's really uncharted territory for a guy like me right now.
Yeah. This whole Gritty Bowman thing has been, you seat of the pants. Just kind of. There's not a lot of formula here. It's sort of just. I do some podcasts, I do some film, I do some Instagram, Facebook stuff. I just am sharing my ideas all the time, as fast as I can, in a way.
Ultimately, I think that's what people want, and that's what we want to do. Like, there's nothing more than you want to do is to just get your message out there and do it in the platform that you want, that you've created.
But I struggle with the fact that it seems like the level of the quality of the content that I want to produce that pushes my abilities, right? It takes time to produce that level of content, and I don't feel like the market is patient enough for it. And so in a way, it's like they're okay with, in large part, with a much lower quality product as long as they get a higher quantity of content. And that I struggle with because I'm really into quality.
Right. No, I've actually had this conversation with my brand guy just the other day. We were talking about some studies and analysis that he had just read recently that was talking just about that, about how people are actually wanting to consume more of the raw content. Like they have more of an appetite for just randomness, quick, less polished, the videos that they're interested in and into. And this is a broad spectrum. This isn't specifically hunting industry related.
Right.
I mean, most of the research and studying and everything that I do is actually outside of the hunting industry because that's where the trends come from.
Yeah.
But it was talking about that consumption of media, which is basically raw, rough, unedited, uncut, unscripted, everything that Solo Hunter basically was or is, the difference being the turnaround time, the time from the actual event to the time that I can actually feed it to the end consumer. And that's where television is really limiting, but that's where the evolution into social media and digital media can help shorten those barriers quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's monetized for a guy like me. It's monetizing that. It's convincing my advertisers to say, hey, we got the television side, which is easy, blah, 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 blah. If you're not interested in TV, this is also what we're doing and we're able to create,
Yeah. Dude, I just got finished watching a bunch of this year's episodes.
Did you watch season 7, the newest stuff on VHX?
Yep.
Cool.
And which brings me to this other point is that that a lot of those things took place a long time ago.
Right.
And now they're just coming forward. I just did this hunt with Aaron, and people already want to see the video from it now.
Right.
They don't want to wait. They followed some of it on Facebook and Instagram, and they had a blast following the journey. We posted some video to YouTube throughout this hunt, and they're like, "Hey, I want to see this," or "I shot the wolf." People want to see this wolf, whatever I've got on the wolf. They want to hear about it, and they want to see it now. They don't want to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the advantages of where I'm at, and I'm not involved with TV.
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely, I think that's where it's more the TV guys that are nervous than it is the online guys or the digital guys. I mean, basically you guys aren't experiencing change. You're just experiencing the wave, man. I mean, You're experiencing everything that's there. Those of us that have been involved with television, I've been involved with television for over 10 years now, that was the medium. That was the platform. That was where all the content was being consumed. That was where we provided it to. And that's where advertisers base their marketing budgets on as far as media went. Well, fortunately, I've been able to establish early on in 07? When did I start my YouTube channel? Long time ago. So I've been able to start and establish and have that digital presence for a long time, even though I didn't put a lot of effort into it. To where now, some of these advertisers are okay with that and we're transitioning to that. Others, I've not lost, but there's 3 advertisers that I've had this year that have pulled off because they're pulling back on television. And they see what we were providing them as television. And we've yet to been able to show them what we've been able to do digitally because I still am heavily involved with television. So for me, I'm looking at, and the networks probably don't like to hear this, but I'm looking at the potential and the possibility of, is TV now an old medium for me that I need to just wash away,
Right.
And transition and start pumping my content out now. Because you and I were talking, I've got 13, 14, 17 completed, fully edited, 22-minute videos, episodes that I could roll out to the market now. But I can't because of the limitations of television, of broadcast.
Yeah.
Plus everything that we've filmed so far, another 5, 6 episodes that are already filmed and in the production cycle now,
Right.
So
yeah, it's a new world, man. I'm excited about it. It's sort of like, adapt or die, change or,
Right.
become irrelevant. So,
Right.
Staying up with all those changes and getting involved in it, that's a cool thing. But I struggle too with wanting independence and then wanting to also be share my content. There's a part of me that just likes to disappear for a while, be private, for a week or two and then come back. And
that's what I love about TV is because I know I can go out and beat my brains out for 3 months out of the year. The rest of the year, I'm chilling at the pool, I'm going to the beach, I'm editing, I'm working hard, but I'm not so stressed about the deadlines and getting everything out right now. Whereas, people's consumptive habits right now is now. It's like, what's next?
Yeah.
So if you want to be relevant in that sphere, you've got to be able to have that ability to crank it out now.
So as I'm watching your shows this season, your brother is in a couple there, and your brother's kind of, he's like a manly man.
Yeah, he's a badass, is what he is. Yeah, there's some of us were born with, charm, wit, humor, and devastatingly good looks. Others were born to be killers. Just natural hunters. But no, he's a gift, man. He's a unique individual, super, super humble, genuine, and yet he's just got that born innate ability to hunt, and he's got a likability about him. I mean, that's one thing that I try to evaluate about myself is there's a likability factor. You look at guys like me and Remy and Ranella and Cam Haynes and Eva, and you look at the success that some of these people have, in certain realms versus your own, and you're like, man, maybe the likability factor, is off a little bit. Whereas with a guy like Boyd, I mean, the likability factor is off the charts. The kid is just super cool, super cool.
And there's no doubt that likability plays a role. Like, there's certain people too that are, I mean, you got to play to your own strengths.
You have to play to your strengths and to your given what you've been given.
You can't try to be something you're not. It just doesn't work.
Everybody wants to be that tough guy. Everybody wants to be seen, and maybe that's some of the issues that I have is there's so many people out there that have the appearance of being just real rugged, tough guys that are pulling off what I'm pulling off, but they look a lot better doing it. Whether they're shooting the video or not. I mean, I can think of a couple guys offhand on social media that I follow that I'm just like, man, you guys are legit. You guys are just awesome. You're making me look bad, And
that's something to think about too. Like, when I don't have to produce video, I'm a pretty good hunter. Like the video part of it adds a whole nother level of satisfaction, but also a whole new level of difficulty.
Maybe it's the face paint. Maybe I need to start using face paint or something.
I wore the face paint. Snyder wanted me to wear it. I put it on. It's just I don't like face paint, dude. I don't like putting it on. I don't like crap on my face, man.
Man, I'll sneak up on a herd of elk in broad daylight, sun glaring on me, not a stitch of face paint on. In fact, I'm wearing brown pants and a camouflage T-shirt. It's like I just can't buy into the whole face paint thing. So to me, it's got to be a little bit of this. I don't understand the craze behind it, man. I don't get it.
It's like special ops. You put it on, you just feel.
But then you got to wash your face.
I know. I mean, dude, you're preaching to the choir, man. I don't get the face paint thing.
No, I just soon just be whatever and not have to worry about it. I mean, but it's one of those things that I think perception to certain people, maybe it makes you more of a badass. I don't know.
Could, but there are people who never wear it that are pretty badass too. So
I never wear it. I'm not going to say I'm at that badass realm, but I just can't wear face paint. It's just not for me, So
yeah, it's funny.
Same with the mask. I notice you wear a mask a lot. Face mask. Certain.
I'll put one on sometimes.
I don't care.
It just depends. It's not to feel cool because I feel like a dork when I'm wearing it.
You look like a dork when you're wearing it.
It's just there for. Sometimes I'm cold, so I'll wear a big baklava.
That's what I was wondering if you just had like this issue with being cold all the time.
Dude, I do get cold. I struggle with that.
What's that? Yeah, I'm doing a podcast. You guys want to see Hudson? You want to say hi to Hudson?
That's right. Yeah.
Hudson, come over here in the camera real quick. This is Brian Call. He's the gritty Bowman.
Hey, Hudson.
Hi.
We're doing a podcast right now. So this camera's recording everything that I'm doing, and he's recording it right here too. And then we're capturing all the audio to do a podcast. Cool. So you just interrupted our podcast. No, you're good.
Do you have any? Do you have a pump?
For a ball?
Yeah.
With a needle. There's a needle in the drawer in the kitchen, but I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
I'll come in and look in a little bit.
Okay, bye.
Okay, love you, bud.
How old is he?
He's 12. Studro.
They're growing up so fast. Mine's 13. My daughter's 13, and she hit that. The things are changing stage. And,
awesome!
Man,
awesome.
It's like, where'd my daughter go? So it's a bit of a challenge. Like,
it's scary. So Hudson, he was one when we sold our house and moved to the Midwest. Started this hunting thing full time. He was 1 year old, and so when I was going and hanging tree stands on various places where I would hunt and that, like he was crawling around with me at 1, and now he's 12, and it's like, man, time has gone by just so fast. And you'd like to think you've accomplished a lot in that amount of time, but you feel like you got so much more to do, and so much more.
Yeah.
But
so on the hunting side of the things, I want to ask you another question about just filming solo. If you had just a couple bits of advice, what would you tell a guy? What's your advice for filming solo?
Number one, keep it simple. I mean, keep your camera set up as easy as possible. I mean, if you've got the ability to use a DSLR or something with a manual focus, do that. But as a solo guy, sometimes that's even hard too. So some of these cameras, these handy cams like the Canon HP40 or, the Panasonic or the Sony 4K, I can't even remember the name of it. Just something with a good autofocus. But if you have the time, you can run it on manual too, and put a point of view, a Garmin or GoPro to your head if that's
keep
the
it
case.
simple.
But super simple. I mean, even now, I basically just only use my video camera. I rarely use the point of view camera until the time of the kill shot. But I think you almost have to take a look at what you want to create on the end, what your end game is. So look at it and say, okay, I'm gonna create a 8 to 10 minute finished hunt video. Well, then you got to work backwards from that. So what are you going to have to film to get all those pieces? You're going to have to film the camp scene. You're going to have to film the sun coming up and down, your whole adventure. My approach to it is basically the second I get out of the truck, the camera turns on and I start saying what I'm doing. I never say what I'm going to do. I just say what I'm doing. So if I'm hiking, I'm like, I'm going up this hill right now. I'm going to get up to this saddle and I'm going to climb up over the top and I'm going to find the herd of elk in the timber. Well, then don't just turn it off and go to the timber. You got to film a few of the steps along the way so that you can take me with you to show me what it took to get to the place where you said you're going to go. Then you're ready if something happens in the meantime. Some elk pops up, bam, film it, or deer or whatever. But you have to be filming as the process goes. One of the things I probably don't tell people a lot of, hunting happens basically the first 2 hours of light and then the last 2 hours of light, right? So during the day, what are you doing? Man, that's when I'm filming my episode.
Yeah.
That's when I'm moving from this block of timber and going 4 miles to the next block of timber. So I know nothing is going to happen in between there. So the bow is on my back, the camera's in my hand, and I'm filming everything. The scenery shots and all that, so that I have that production package that I can then pull into my final video to do that. Because when you're hunting, you don't want to be filming. You want to when you're actually in the heat of the moment, you just want to be doing the bare minimum because you need to be focusing on the kill and the hunt. So
when I talked to Zach Griffith, he was saying he used to do a lot like that, but over time, he said now he would get all this footage that he wouldn't use.
Yep.
In which I have tons of, right? But so he said, forget that. He just films the kill shot, and if he gets the kill shot, then he goes back and recreates
I don't recreate anything.
That footage.
I never recreate anything. To me, that's not authentic to how I want to portray the hunt. That's why I film it as I go. And for one, it's more realistic. It's more. You get the same vibe while you're doing it as it's happening, so the viewer gets that same vibe. And for two, I don't have to try to remember what just happened, or slip up and say something that happened that didn't happen or whatever, you know. But it also helps me in the production process. Now his form of media, I'm guessing, is different than mine. Mine's a little bit more of a long form, more of a story form in a 22-minute episode, whereas his videos may be a little bit shorter.
Right. Different style, music, totally different kind of, final product. But you've got a real long story. Zach kind of has more like a artistic, like, image of what happened. Sure.
But, for me, the kill shot's not always going to happen. Whether you're hunting. I'm producing an adventure whether that kill shot happens or not. Of course, I want to do whatever I can to put myself in that position, but that's not what I'm out there for. I'm out there to have the adventure, have the experience, and document that along the way, regardless of the outcome. Because to me, that's why I'm there.
That's how I am too. Like when I go out, what I want to do is I want to capture.
Can you hear that horn?
Yeah.
Somebody's alarm just went off. It's probably mine. Somebody just broke into my truck.
So when I'm out there capturing video, my goal isn't to get the kill shot on film per se. I just want to capture the whole feel of the event, the fun, the camaraderie, the struggle. I want to get all of that on film because that's the part I think resonates with people, and it's the truth. It's like the real thing that happened to me. Right. And I think people really, especially today, they really do respond to that authenticity, that realness.
I think people need to see that. If we're just constantly feeding people full of kill shots and everything, I mean, yeah, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's not what I'm all about. I mean, I have so much more that I want to do and accomplish with the video and the photos that I take than just that end result of the kill shot. To me, there's a lot more value in those. I might find a little segment along the way that is ideal for a marketing campaign for Prime, or for Under Armour, whoever it might be. So I like that. Plus, I love reliving those hunts. I mean, it's some of those things that happen you forget about until 6 months later when I'm in the edit bay watching through this and I'm just laughing my guts out because of what I was saying to myself and going through, and so it all comes down to what you want as that, like I said, what you want as that end result. If you want to just have a bang flop video, by all means, just go film the kill shots. Don't film the rest of it. So.
What about content that is shared and not shared? Because Snyder, we posted the video about, much to Aaron's credit, about him missing that mule deer, 3 times in a row with the stick bow at pretty close range, And there's a part of us that, that naturally doesn't want to admit that we make that kind of mistake, right? Like we miss.
Why?
But because...
That's your pride talking there.
Yeah, but that's kind of, that's sort of, so sticking that out there and saying, yeah, dude, I completely, I don't know what happened. I completely whiffed it. That's a thing. And then when Aaron wounded that bull, there's been, a little bit of backlash where guys are like, hey, I'm not impressed. You wounded a bull and then you kept hunting. You should have used your tag up. You should have tagged that bull and called it quits. And
well, that's where everybody has their choice. I mean, they have what they might do versus what you might do, and that's where we're the only filter for what we want to put out there. I mean, we're putting ourselves out there to the general public and exposing ourselves like none other. So there's a lot of, you do have those pride cycles that fall into play where you're like, oh, I don't want anybody to think, I mean, I've edited videos for people and they're like, don't put in those misses, just put in this. And I'm like, okay, sure. That's cool. Whatever.
Right.
I'm a missing machine. You notice on this season, I missed how many elk this year, at killable distances or last year. And here I have a commercial out for Prime that's, was it you or was it your bow? I'm betting it was your bow kind of thing. And, I mean, you're never going to make everybody happy. There's going to be critics and cynics to everything that you do. I mean, you could be totally legit and everything, as good as what you think it might be, and there's always going to be somebody that has issue with it. But,
that's okay. But I've learned that, getting out there and doing that and being real there, and like you said, putting yourself out there at such a raw level.
Raw level.
People are going to see everything about you, like you're good and you're bad, whether you annoy them or they're inspired by you or they just enjoy hanging out. But it's out there for the world to see. And but you know what? I found that for the most part, it's been mostly all positive. There's a little bit of blowback sometimes on different things, but I feel like the other part of it is you've got to be real because a lot of new hunters especially have these ideas about what hunting is like, and then they get out and they do it, and they're very disillusioned because their expectations are so warped.
That's what sucks about social media and the new media is people only see what we want them to see, whether it's photos or, it's whether it's our personal pages and us always, at the pool or the beach or whatever. I mean, we're feeding all of these new hunters everything that we want them to think we are. We want them to think that we're the biggest, baddest, coolest people in the world. That's where authenticity comes into play. You have to be real in showing the whole thing, and I've had conversations with advertisers and sponsors that want you to do certain things and that. And it's like, no, if I'm not actually doing that, I'm not going to go out and recreate myself crossing a river with a moose on my back and drinking out of the stream with bloody hands. I mean, I ain't going to do that in real life, so I'm not going to go recreate that for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
But you're right. People don't see the full picture, and maybe we're doing the new generation a disservice for that. I don't know.
Well, what's your favorite rifle?
So I shoot MOA rifles right now. I love it. I've actually just I have to go pick it up. It's a new carbon extreme rifle that I haven't even shot yet. Want to get that. They've got the Summit also, but I mean those are high end custom rifles. I'm fortunate to have a relationship with the owner and to be able to shoot those. For a regular out of the box rifle, you can't beat the Tikka T3s or the Tikka Lights. I mean, those things are stinking awesome. So.
And what's your favorite caliber?
So now, my favorite caliber is probably 7 Rem Mag. Right now, I'm actually switching to a 28 Nosler, just for some ballistics and different things with these new rifles that MOA is cranking out. So just kind of excited to try something a little different. I'm not a huge rifle nut, but I like to go out and lay stuff over with a gun every now and then, So.
We're getting some rifle. I'm getting a new rifle. I haven't decided like caliber wise or whatever, and I've got some rifle hunts coming up and a few more planned for next year. So I'm just kind of curious. Haven't done a ton of rifle hunting, but what I have done I've really enjoyed and it's been fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference. Some of those long range calibers, you're in the 7 millimeter and the 26, 28 Nosler. I mean, some people do the 308s or whatever, but I mean, there's so many good rounds out there that are going to work just fine. I mean, I've got a 270 short mag that I absolutely love. I mean, that rifle is so legit, but I like to try something different.
That's the rifle that I've actually been considering.
Yeah.
The caliber I've been considering.
It's a cool caliber. I mean, 300 short is probably as universal as it gets. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I chose that 270 short, just out of curiosity more than anything. But that gun's a stinking tack driver. But I'm really excited to start shooting this 28 Nosler. I mean, I'm very grateful to be able to do what I do, so that I have the relationships that I have to try some of this new stuff and to do that. If I didn't have that, I'd probably be a Tikka guy all day long, and I'd be shooting 300 short. I mean, that's probably where I would be, because that's a good $600-700 gun out of the box. I mean, really a working man's rifle.
So tell me, what is your when you have a solo hunter episode, okay, and you stack them all up, right? You got your stable of shows, inventory of shows. How are the rifle hunts received compared to the bow hunts? Like viewer wise, and
I don't notice much difference. Like, I think they're very comparable. Where I mainly see the difference is in seasons. People, for some reason, our late season hunts, both Remy and I's late season episodes, are the ones that generally create. If I looked at tracked them on YouTube or on the networks and that, the late season episodes perform really, really well. And then honestly, some of the ones where we don't get a kill have done super good, super well. So
why do you think the late season episodes do so well?
It just makes us look more like badasses,
Just the snow and the
it looks
grind.
harder. I think maybe because of the solo genre, maybe because of that whole aspect to it, it's that much more extreme or that much more difficult looking. I mean, they're obviously a lot more difficult to do, but those have just gotten a lot of good viewer response. If I look at, I think the number one and number two, definitely the number one video watched that we have on YouTube. It's a snow hunt where I actually even missed, didn't even kill an animal, but it's the most viewed hunting episode. This one I just uploaded of Remy's 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's close to 20,000 views. So,
wow,
people like those. The two highest watched is there's a mule deer hunt with me in the snow, late season mule deer hunt with Remy in the snow, late season elk hunt, moose hunt in the crappy weather. I mean, those are, if I were to look at it, that's what people are really, really digging.
So they like the rugged, nasty adventure kind of stuff. And then species-wise, it looks like the standby, mule deer, elk, and your moose.
Well, maybe that's just because that's our passion.
Have you done a lot of bear hunting?
Yeah, I've killed several bears. I mean, there's a bear hanging behind me right now. I mean, I've killed a lot of bears. Yeah. For me, it's I've got 2 bear hunts on film that I've personally done on bow hunt, both bow hunts. I could air them, I guess, or I could have. They're both fairly old now with old equipment and everything, as far as our sponsors go.
Yeah.
So they're irrelevant. But those were hunts for me. Those were just hunts for me. It's not necessarily something that I felt like I wanted to get out there.
Yeah,
as much.
Just curious because I'm just curious, like what the public, general public is, hunting public is craving to see. I do.
I think anything.
Yeah, you see, like for example, I'd say Ranella does a lot of the eastern obscure, squirrel hunting, dove hunting kind of episodes where a lot more small game than some others, and I prefer
very diverse.
Yeah, I prefer big game hunts, but I gotta admit there are times where I get attracted to those shows because I've never done it before, so I'm really curious about it. But I'm much more passionate about watching a late season mule deer hunt than I am anything else.
Yeah, we have to, I mean, again, viewers out there and listeners, you have to keep in mind, this is my business. This is what I have to be into. So I'd look at the analytics behind everything that I do. I mean, they say the average Ruski doesn't take a dump without a plan. Well, I don't go on a hunt or do certain things without an idea of what is working or what has worked or, things like that. So you have to look at what the viewers want, and overwhelmingly for us, our audience and demographic is West Coast, Western stuff, and so those are the animals that we're going after. Remy has done very well in New Zealand because of his outfitting business there, and we've got a great following in New Zealand and Australia, I think, because of it. So at this point in my life, I'd like to do a lot bigger variety of things. So now it's just a matter of the different level of financial commitment to do some of those. And at this point, I'm not ready to take money from other places, whether it's my family or my kids' college or, investing into my brand and my company to do hunts that would be selfish for me. I could afford and go do some hunts, more hunts than I do. But, for personal reasons, I choose not to.
Yeah, but at the same time, I look at that, and I say this all the time to buddies of mine. Like, they'll say, hey, you want to go to Africa? Hey, you want to do, going to go to Alaska and hunt moose? And I do want to have those experiences, but at the same time, I fully recognize that I have an amazing adventure when I elk hunt.
Yeah.
And that's in my backyard and easy to do. Or when I blacktail hunt, it's like, that's in my backyard. And I have a ball, so I look at that and I go, sometimes we want what we don't have when what we have is awesome.
Right.
It's a perfect substitute.
Yeah, I think it's just a difference of location, a different type of adventure. I mean, the actual act is the same. You're still pulling a trigger. Something's dying. but it's a different species and all that. But again, once you break them down, there's still meat underneath that hair. It's still the same type of work. But I talk to guys that just get ate up with the sheep bug and different things, and I'd love to hunt sheep, but I'm not the guy that's going to write a check for one either. For me to kill a sheep, it's going to have to come in the form of a drawn tag on public land and doing it how I feel like I want to hunt. I mean, my brother and I joke back and forth all the time. It's like the public land ranch is treating us right this year. I mean, you want to come hunt with me? There's thousands of openings on the public land ranch. You don't have to get on a waiting list. It doesn't cost you any money other than over-the-counter tag, general season.
Yep.
And I'm just as happy shooting a spike or a raghorn as I am shooting 2 great big bulls like I did this year, and I don't think for me personally I could be as satisfied if I knew that I wrote a check for that opportunity to kill that animal. You're still not writing the check for the animal, but for the opportunity to hunt a less pressured, larger animal,
Right. Absolutely. So in this solo hunter journey of yours, you've been doing this. You're kind of ancient now in the.
Yep, I'm the godfather.
That's right.
Right. I'm the grandfather.
The question I have is, throughout this whole journey, and I know we've talked about this once before, but who would you say is someone that you're kind of you really look up to, or you really enjoy their work, or that you're kind of inspired by, or get you excited?
Now?
Yeah, now.
Now, man, the only inspiration that I get comes from the fans. I use the word fans loosely because I don't know how else is the solo nation. I mean, I get a lot of inspiration, and I try to voice that on my social media from just regular people, Don't think I'm using regular people in a condescending type of way. Just guys that are just out there hunting and doing it, guys and gals. And I get a lot more satisfaction out of sharing someone's photo or adventure that has 90 followers than I would somebody that has 20,000 followers. But just seeing some of the things that people are doing. So that's where I get my inspiration from, and I'm motivated by now, is really just people out there doing it the hard way, you know, and that are maybe or maybe not emulating the style of hunting that I do, trying to film and that. But that's really where I'm motivated, honestly. I mean, it wasn't always that way. I had people that I looked up to in the hunting industry at the time. Now, I mean, there's guys that I like and enjoy and all that, but for what motivates me, it doesn't come from television, and it doesn't come from other people's hunts that I watch that are in the industry. It comes from people that are not in the industry.
Yeah.
Really.
That's cool.
I mean, I look at like my brother. I was talking about it the other day. It's like to see what guys like him accomplish on one-day hunts. I mean, they live in good rural areas. Like you were talking, you got elk bugling in your backyard there. You live there, but when he goes on a hunt, he's got one day, basically. He's got to get there and back in one day. And to have accomplished what he's accomplished in that limited amount of time. Whereas me, I go on a hunt and I'm like, yeah, it's Tuesday. I don't have to go home till Saturday. So I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to lay in the bed in the morning and be real casual about it, because I've got that time. And that's where I just have a lot more respect for guys like that can do it in the 1 or 2 days and consistently and multiple times a year. It's impressive. It really is.
That really
Doing what I do is not that I mean, being able to kill an animal like I do because of the amount of time, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, because I got the time. Yeah, I'm hunting public land and pressured animals, but I got the time.
And the experience, though. I mean, there's
an experience.
Your life. You spend a lifetime doing this stuff, and so
it's still hard as hell, But that's where I think what some of these other people are accomplishing is such a bigger accomplishment for them than it is for me.
Dude, Aaron's shooting that stick bow, and we're going on that whole traditional bow journey. And I've said this many times. Look, it's hard enough for me to kill animals with a compound, let alone add the level of complexity that comes with a recurve. Now, Aaron's been doing this a long time. He spends a lot of time in the field. He's killed a lot of animals. I haven't. So I'm like, hey, man, just any animal down is an accomplishment for me. It's like, hey, I did it. You know,
Right.
That list is short, and so it's I am continually impressed by the people that post stuff on social media all the time. It just that consistently make things happen every year. They amaze me, 100%.
For me, it's more when I see somebody write a story. You know, I've seen a couple of them. A girl writing, hey, I had to share Jordan. You know, my boyfriend Jordan's story with you because I know he wouldn't. You know, he's too shy or too embarrassed. He had, you know, works nights and works this long hours, and he had one day to go out and hunt, and he killed this awesome bull on public land by himself, solo. You know, he was so proud of it, and it's like, that guy's awesome to be able to do that. You know, I mean, I'm not awesome because I had 3 weeks to kill 2 bull elk. You know. Well, big deal.
I look at guys like Ryan Lampers, who's a friend of mine, did the Train to Hunt event and stuff. ST Healthy Hunter, Stealthy Hunter on Instagram. That dude is amazing. He kills
it's impressive.
Incredible animals every year, public land, pretty simple stuff, regular guy.
Puts in a lot of time.
Puts in a
lot of time.
But
he has it. Fortunately, he has it.
But still makes it happen, and that's the thing where I'm like, there are areas where I put in time in my life where I have, and I've not yielded the same results. Not that I haven't had the opportunities to, like, I just miss in those moments sometimes, you know? So it'll be, you know, every year I like to think I'm better than the year before, and that those situations I'm a lot calmer, or I'm ice in the veins, or I predict the animal's movement better than I would have in the past. I outsmart them, you know. And then there's always that experience, seems like every year, where I'm completely humbled down to like the little level where I make some stupid rookie juvenile mistake, and it costs me something that is just spectacular when I should have capitalized, but I didn't. And
you have to just laugh, man. You can't beat yourself up over that. Actually, Aaron probably told me about something like that, but with you. But it's like you have to just let it go, just chalk it up. Well, that didn't work. Next, you know, and try your hardest to put yourself in that situation again. You know, time and time again.
I think Aaron is a lot more. You know, he's done that so much, right? That he's very good at being okay. Well, I made a stupid mistake. It's not my first, it's not my last. And he moves on. It haunts me for weeks and weeks and weeks. But that's because before Gritty Bowmen, I had like 7 days to hunt elk and 6 days to hunt deer, and it was over.
Right.
And I can't afford for that opportunity to not capitalize on that one chance I get, right? And if I don't, it haunts me for a whole year. Well, Aaron's like, well, we have another hunt next week. And after that, we have a hunt over here, and then we have that hunt. And it's like, it's a lot easier to handle that failure when there are more coming up. But it's
more opportunities for failure.
Totally.
Well, and that's where, you know, viewers looking in and different people coming into the industry and wanting to be involved, you have to have realistic expectations based on your abilities, your time, your locations where you're hunting, you know, all these different variables you have to have is first establish realistic expectations, but on the highest threshold, you know, like the most awesome things that could happen within a realistic realm. You know, you can't expect to kill a 350 bull if you're hunting in a public area where there just isn't a 350 bull. There might not be a 300-inch bull to be had, you know. So.
I remember you and I when we first met. One of the things that you were saying was, you know, you like hunting, but it's not like your end all be all. You're not like obsessed with it. And I was talking to Corey Jacobson, right? Elk 101. You know, he's calling in bulls, world champion elk caller, right? And he's like, yeah, I go hunting for 7 days. I come back. I go hunting for 7 more days in September, and that's my season.
Right.
I'm like, well, but you're Elk 101. You could hunt the whole month. He's like, but I don't really want to. I want to be with my family, and I want to do this, and I love elk hunting, but you know, So I have this opportunity to hunt with Aaron, and Aaron and I have been hunting a lot together. And there's a lot of Aaron's schedule for hunting is like back to back.
Right.
He's out there testing gear, using new gear, coming up with ideas for future gear, but he's also just out there hunting at the same time. I can't take that much hunting, dude. I mean, I was out there for a lot so far this season, more hunting than I've ever done, and that's a lot of hunts. And some people are like, well, probably don't understand that, but
Then maybe you need to choose a different profession. If hunting isn't your life, then why do you do it as a business? If it's not your life, maybe you shouldn't be on TV. I've heard a lot of that. I mean, hunting is not my life; it's a part of my life.
Same. That's what I'm realizing, right? Like, and I knew that before, but this has really brought it home that, and I've learned from watching Aaron too, that Aaron is a hunting burst, like 4-day hunt, come home, hang out for 2 days, hunt 5 days, come home for 2 days, hunt 6 days, come home for 4 or 5 days. It's not, and I'm used to like I have 14 days, and I hunt the whole 14 days, and it's over, right?
It's hard, yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame. So Aaron has a pacing mechanism that I'm learning too.
That's what I've learned over the years, definitely, is pacing. I mean, for me, I'm home every weekend. So I basically hunt Tuesday through Thursday, sometimes Tuesday through Friday. And then I drive home, the 8 hours or whatever it might be, and I'm home for a couple of days. As it was this year, I went out on a hunt, killed an elk, took a week off, went out on a hunt, killed an elk, took a week off,
Show off.
Next week I'm going, hopefully kill an antelope and a whitetail and a mule deer. I mean, but you have to pace yourself. And again, I'll look at it, just the reason why I took that week off. I wanted to go hunt. I got tags to fill, but you got a full moon, I mean, it's a transitionary stage for the elk where most of them are not really breeding, but they're not really... I mean, so you have to look at your situation, but for a guy that has the time, you can do that. So, pacing like what Aaron does and what I do is easy to say for guys like us, but for the regular guy, maybe there isn't any pacing. But what I'm amazed at is guys that just like Aaron or, Remy or some of these others where it's just constant go. It's just hunt. If I'm not hunting, I'm thinking about hunting. If I'm not thinking about hunting, I'm talking to somebody else that's thinking about hunting. I mean, it's everything.
Yeah, that new episode, I think it came out today with Cam, Ridge Reaper, I think it was episode 4 or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, man.
Called Time or something like that. I only saw the first few minutes and then had kid duty. But Cam was like, basically, he thinks about hunting every day, every day.
But do you think
part
that
of the
he
day.
does, or do you think that that's the persona that he's put out there? I mean, I'm not questioning Cam because he probably does, but sometimes I wonder, if somebody really is that driven for one specific thing, and maybe it's because I'm not, but I wonder sometimes,
I would not
Doesn't
be
matter.
surprised if in Cam it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like that is his obsession, and that it doesn't. There's not a day that doesn't go by that he's not just hyper focused on it.
Maybe that's why he's here and I'm here.
But again, you got to play to your strengths. I'm not Cam. I don't want to be that. I am inspired and motivated sometimes by that, but I'm definitely, I have other things that I'm so interested in as well.
Yeah, three kids at home, man. I'm so into my kids right now that it's not even funny. I'm watching my son play football last night, flag football, and I relish the opportunities to be home and spend time with my kids right now. And a lot of guys are the same way, And
Me too.
Hunting will always be there. Hunting and golf will be there until the day I die. My kids are not, They just aren't.
I have a video that I haven't released, that I've worked on for a while now, but it basically in the video, and it's really early, the footage is I recorded right at the very beginning of Gritty Bowman, before I even made any films. But one of the comments that I said was in the film is, hunting is not my life. Hunting is part of my life. And my life is tied to hunting. Like, I don't see them as two separate lives.
Right.
They're just they're interwoven, and that's just there's a blend of the two that's natural for me, and so I don't. So it's natural for me to want to hunt, but then it's natural for me to want to be at home with my kids and go out on a date with my daughter, and
It's another one of the duties as a man. It's your duty to go out and hunt and, give yourself that reprieve, experience the wild, grow as a person, be closer to nature, be closer to God, bring home meat for your family. Like, it's your responsibility. That's what men were made to do. I mean, it's part of our
makeup.
Yeah, it's part of our makeup. It's part of our responsibilities as a man. I mean, this is what we got to do. Just like it is coming home, putting food on the table, going to work every day, bringing home a paycheck, making sure mama and the babies are taken care of. That's part of being a man, and being a father.
So my brother has been reading this book, As a Man Thinketh. He's read it like 3 times in the last few months. And he's calling me up, and he's like, hey, bro, this is what I read in this chapter. And it's like everything that he talks about right now is As a Man Thinketh, which is good because it's a great read, I guess. And I've read it.
Has he convinced himself that he's going to hell yet? Does he have this guilt trip yet?
No, I don't think so. But he mentioned that, but he was saying along the lines that you were saying, like there's some growth, and like as men, there's certain things that fulfill us that if we're not engaged in, we tend to feel unfulfilled. So one of the things though that he brought up was he's like, Brian, so what's your goal? What are some of your big goals you got going on? Like 1, 2, or 3 goals that you want to achieve that are on your mind, that you're striving for, that you're just shooting for all the time. And it was a really interesting question, and I answered him. But I'm asking you that question.
I want to hear your answer. No, I want to hear your answer.
I want to hear your.
I thought you were going to answer it.
I mean, I can, but you go first. What's a goal or a couple of goals that you are working on that are big goals that you're really striving for?
Number one is I want my kids to grow up and just be good people. I want them. I don't want to see them go through some of the trials that maybe I did growing up or friends did or whatever. I want them to be good, pure, and genuine people that contribute to society, whether it's contributing to the church or contributing to their friends' lives. Really for me, I just want my kids to be good people. And in order for them to do that, I feel like I have to play a major role in their lives. Not a lot of people know that, my wife is not always healthy. She has some illnesses and some different things, and she's limited on her time and her ability that she can contribute to our family in a lot of different realms. And so I feel like I've been given this gift of the career and the business and the brand that I have because it affords me the ability to be that father, mother figure that my children need to not be cheated out of life. I mean, so that they can have the best of abilities that they have. Because if you look at each of them, and you all can look at your children or your friends' children, or whatever, and look at them, they're a dang gift, man. But there's something unique and special about my children that, they were born into a pretty crappy time in society, and so they have to be armed with a lot different type of ammunition than you or I were when we were born, 40 years ago. So I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of first. That's the number one thing that drives me every day. Knowing that, I know that I have to go to work every day too. I mean, it's the hardest thing in the world to, like 2 weeks ago, or this last trip that I just went on, they did a primary program at church, and I went and watched the program, and I had to leave right after that. And man, those were the longest, hardest hugs that I had ever gotten in my life, because Kelly's parents were there, and and you have all this emotion. But leaving my kids at home, man, that stinks. That's like the hardest thing to do. But I know that I have to do it as a provider, and that's, I think, what drives me so hard in the business that I have and the brand that I have, outside of just me doing what I do for me. It's not for me, it's for everything else. And because I feel like It's like, here, you can have the career of your dreams, you know, everything else, but you're going to have to play a bigger fatherly role than what other people might have to because of certain situations.
Yeah.
Long answer.
No,
Sorry.
it's a good answer. When my wife had cancer, I never felt the single parent thing stronger than ever in my life. I mean, I don't think I developed a huge respect for people who had, you know, who are on their own or who are acting as both roles. Because Suzanne she was sick, man.
Yeah.
There was no way you're gonna, you know, for her that she was gonna be able to. I mean, she's in the fetal position, curled up in bed for weeks, days at a time, usually 5 or 6 days post chemo, and I'm just the single dad, so I had to do both roles, and it was a really tough time. But I think I do feel blessed now in the sense that I'm not doing 2 jobs at once now, because Gritty was a big time job plus my other job, and I've been able to jump into this full time. This fulfills me in a way my old career did not. And I love doing what I do now. I you know, telling people stories, you know, sharing messages, positive messages, you know, trying to inspire people, collect and share information. I love that. But as far as goals go, I'm kind of right there in line with you in the sense, like, lately especially, I've realized as my kids are reaching an older age, self-esteem is like an evasive, you know, like maybe some kids don't struggle with it, but I'm surprised that, you know, with my young girls, how much, you know, I moved them to a whole new city, you know. They've started a new school. They don't know anybody. They don't have friends, and they're making friends. But it's a really challenging time. So I want to make sure my kids, like yours, they have that strong self-esteem. And that means that I need to be there as a dad and be there a lot. So, yeah, we go out on dates every week. I go out with each of the kids one night a week, and we do whatever. And then we have some hobby things that we do every day after school. And then I help certain ones with homework on certain days. And so I'm like a dad that's present and actively engaged in their lives. And it's a pretty cool thing to do that.
Yeah, and I think I see a lot of people doing that. You know, a lot of the people that I follow on social media, you know, just regular Joes, regular jobs. Sometimes it was because, you know, they showed that in their lives. You know, so I'm like, yeah, I want to follow this guy. Yeah, he's a good hunter and everything else, but I want to kind of see what else is going on. You know, so that's important. You know, and I think that drives me on the business side of it too, more so than just building my personality. You know, as a brand ambassador or as somebody that's popular in the hunting industry. Man, I got to build a brand and a business and an income and a revenue to be able to take care of my family how I want to be able to take care of them, and to be able to do the things that I want to do later in life. You know, being popular now, yeah, cool, whoop-de-doo, but if it doesn't afford me something that a regular day job might, you know, being a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever else, you know, you can accumulate certain things for your retirement. Well, if I can't do that now with the job that I have now, why am I doing it? You know, if you can't, you need to reevaluate why you're doing it. I'm not doing this like a lot of people in the industry for fun and for you know, a side job or anything there. Yeah, I love it, but it is my job. You know, I mean, people say if a TV guy says that he makes a living off his TV show, he's full of crap. Man, I've been doing it for 10 years, and I don't have any plan B. You know, if what I do fails, you know, Daddy's going back to whatever, who knows what, you know. So that's why I work so hard and take so much pride in what I do. And that's why, you know, you are affected by how people react to the content that you put out there, whether it be good or whether it be bad. If they're reacting positively and everything, it's like so gratifying, so humbling. If they're reacting negatively and you know, hating and hate what you do, it affects you personally. And so that's the hardest thing about exposing yourselves as anybody in the media's eye, you know, or the society's eye, I guess, not media.
Well, dude,
we're going to have to continue this conversation some more because I got more questions inside the mind of Tim Burnett.
It doesn't take long. Little mind.
No, dude, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's cool just to hang out. I've been so busy and with the move and everything that we haven't connected like I'd like to. So it was good to catch up and hang out. What Solo Hunter episode do you recommend people check out?
Well, I really like the new ones from this season.
You say that every time.
That nobody can see until they're released. I'm working on a plan. I'm hoping to be able to just do a Solo Hunter dump where I just dump all 13 episodes all at once. You can still get them on VHX, but it's like, man, it costs you $20. You have to download them. I want people to be able to see all the episodes for free on YouTube, and that's ultimately where they're gonna be. But it's hard for me to. Those 2 elk episodes back to back from last year. I mean, spoiler alert, I didn't kill an elk in either episode. But like just the elk that I chased, the encounters that I had, the weather, just the scenarios, the situations, just the best footage I've ever laid down in an area that means a lot to me. Like those 2 episodes back to back, man, I love them. And then, Remy has an awesome hunt with his dad in Alaska for a caribou. Kill this monster caribou. It's like he wasn't even intending it to be an episode. He just went and filmed this. They filmed it. It was a day hunt, basically. They were there for 10 days, killed it on the first day. So I had this 30 minutes of video to make a 22-minute episode out of. And we did it. But like that episode's epic. It's awesome. Because I had to use all the footage that I normally wouldn't use. So you hear this conversation between a father and a son, and it happens to be Remy and his dad, who are 2 of the funniest people you'll ever meet. And there's just this going back and forth. So that episode's really cool too. So
well, good.
It's good stuff.
Check that out. Season 7.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll be able to get it out there to you guys free soon. But if you want to pay $20 for it, it's on VHX. You can link to it from our website.
Which I did, and I have them on VHX. And it was a solid, well-spent $20. Plus
What did you think?
Plus my episode's on there.
Yeah, dude, I forgot about the blacktail episode.
Yeah, the blacktail.
What did you think of the season? Did you think the season was pretty good overall? Because it was a hard season for us, hunting-wise.
I thought it was great. I loved it. I loved it. I felt some serious pain when you're getting that mule deer and he's right there and you're trying to get it on camera. Dude, I'd have just waxed him off camera.
I had him dead. He was done. I didn't have to worry about it, man.
And then when he walks the wrong way, I mean, it's just torture to see you try to film that and get it on film and have it cost you the shot because it's so hard to get anyway.
On an awesome buck. I mean, super unique,
It's I could feel your pain. And you didn't hide it either. You're like,
oh, dude,
you're ready to break a camera, it sounded like.
That's where during the editing process I had to make sure the volume was down low so my wife didn't hear what was being said, because I was so mad. And then after that I got heat stroke so bad that I had to actually go down into the water hole and sit and soak myself in the water hole because I was done, man. I mean, it's just so close to just being ill. And then afterwards I thought, man, I should have filmed that. But it's like, no, you're saving your stinking life, you don't. And other people would have recreated it or whatever, but I was like, oh, geez, man, that would have been awesome to have,
But I've got some of that myself. Well, dude, I'm going to let you go and go watch some elk. They're over there across the street screaming. There's 2 bulls that keep wanting to fight each other, and it's pretty cool. So I might grab some video right now and then post that up. It's pretty cool. Living in Evergreen is pretty romantic place, I think. But I do miss some of the friends and family in Oregon, but this is a pretty epic place. See elk deer like all day, every day. So it's a lot better than Nevada, I can tell you that.
Well, for those of you that don't know, I live in a gated community with neighbors on all 4 sides, because I have my life that I have to keep happy, but I have my wife that I have to keep happy too. She likes all that stuff, So like I live in a suburb, of the city.
All right, dude. Well, thanks,
Hey, thanks,
Tim.
man.
Stay
Thank
gritty.
you. I appreciate it.
You too.
Okay, gritty friends. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobson is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things, or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.